Where to start this week? Yeah, I'm working on craft stuff again. First off, yes, I know Blip is in bad condition right now. All the web hosts, no, all of the internet browsers as one decided to up and stop supporting Adobe Flash because there were security vulnerabilities found in it, and because, well, Maker, who owns Blip, does not care about supporting Blip, and hasn't for a long time now, so the web player is broken because Flash is no longer allowed, and they have not updated their their on-site video player in years. For some reason, embedded videos still work, but I figured that the embedded system was the last thing they updated, and it runs off a different system than that. So, yeah, this is why I keep my Daily Motion page constantly mirrored with everything, and why I'm trying to get things back to YouTube. I've already been checking some of the older episodes, making sure they're good for YouTube. I'm going to just, there's one last secondary level of, what's the phrase? I've seen a few people, like, frame the videos with, frame their use of footage with another frame around it so it doesn't bring up the YouTube auto-detect content ID crap for when they're trying to review things, so maybe I'll try that. I'm considering ways to try and not make it so distracting. That's kind of what I'm experimenting with on top of everything else. But hopefully I'll have stuff like that up in August? I'm aiming for August. Yeah, I figured I'd just mention that since, you know, I do these videos every week. It might as well be a partial stats update before I get to, regular stuff. Second, yes, people have been liking the first video of Chroma Squad. I got a Content ID claim on that, regardless, even when it was framed in. I don't know why. It wasn't even by anybody that's on the Chroma Squad team for some reason. I'm sorting that out. But onto what I'm actually talking about today. Ninninger 20, Drive 37, and Garo 13. Ninninger annoyed me today. I'm not calling it out for utter crap, but Takaharu learns the teamwork lesson. Again. This is like the 4th or 5th time in the show, and this is the 20th episode. You either should have, 1, made it stick long before this, or 2, in the multiple episodes where this was addressed, you should have actually made it fucking stick. See, I've had this complaint repeatedly before, and only now is he really getting into realizing that. Because he comes to this revelation after, Tatsunosuke, no, that's not right. I'm forgetting the kid's name. He's the kid from the last episode, longest in a line of, blacksmith, helped, repaired their weapons last episode, assisted in the autonomy. Shishio's been looking after him. But yeah, Shishio, I remember the Otomo spirit's name, and not the kid that took up the focus of this episode. Which, okay, you got me there. I was complaining last week about how it didn't really focus on the kid that they were supposed to be finding, the guy they were supposed to be finding that was going to fix their weapons. This kind of mediated that with him having the focus, but the problem is he was teaching the same lesson Shishio was to Takaharu, so it's not really as effective. It's like, he actually gets Takaharu to think for once, and then he starts repeating the exact same things that, Shishio did when he fought the, Ninninger untransformed, which That's not very creative. That's just aping what someone else said, and it's not exactly word for word, but it's pretty damn close. And of course, Takaharu wasn't paying attention to a damn thing in that fight to his criticisms that would probably be things they could have, worked around or made to surpass if this was a competently executed, what's the phrase? Not crossover, competently done storyline. They're not actually fixing their issues, which is a critique of mine. Actually, I take that back. They do fix their issues, but it's by Takaharu realizing that they're not utilizing themselves to the best potential in battle. Like, Yakumo and Kasumi, instead of staying back, are fighting the monster themselves, while Kinji, Fuka, and Nagi are told to hold back when the quick ones and the strong one would be better to fight it off first. And it's not the smart people or the tactical thinker that are realizing these things, it's the idiot that doesn't use his brain. It'd be one thing if this was something they were just overlooking, and with Takaharu's perspective, it's something he has a realization of because he's that skilled in battle that, this comes as second nature to him. No, it's pretty much repeating what Shishio himself said, and none of them are at all aware of their flaws, despite having them shoved in their face. It's all to just promote Takaharu being, the right fit for Shishio's spirit to gain his acceptance. Except, it's not being well handled. Of course, I was not wrong about how they would need to address Shishio and, earn his respect, earn his, allegiance by respecting him and his wishes, because he just wants to be free. He wants to run wild. And that's how they tie it in. Takaharu's, battle cry. Well, we're running wild. That was stupid. That was kind of stupid. I guess it's more framed as a working together, we're stronger thing, but again, you screwed up the teamwork message repeatedly throughout the fucking show. You don't get do-overs for this kind of thing, guys. But yeah, making it something more personal than duty, to respect the individual as a actual partner and not as a tool for their own ends or for other people, that I get behind. That's where I thought Lion Hao was coming from, and yeah, that was something that was both needed and, well, they'd been doing it previously with the other partner mechs, so it's like you're repeating the same thing in a way, because I remember Shinobi Maru having the same thing, having the exact same issue. They weren't respecting him as a partner, and then when the monster with the ability to make people depressed and not slothish, but unmotivated, they were kind of addressing the same thing there in the lead up to the reveal of King Surikenji. So it's like it's looping itself on plot points, but not in the same way. It's what's the phrase? The idea of this being a recurring thing gained the respect and alliance with the partner. That's a good thing. It's just, I don't think they should be repeating character motivations in the exact same way when, they didn't really acknowledge the problem previously. That's the problem. They're repeating the plot points without really addressing why they came up in the first place. Solving the issue. And if they do this again for the next set, I am going to be angry. I'm not angry, I'm just annoyed at this point. But yes, it convinces Shishio to work with him along with the kid, into creating a transformation brace that allows Takaharu to become Akaninja Chozetsu, which over time translates as Transcendence. I'm not completely certain that's right. It feels wrong, but what do I know? I'm not fluent in the language. Cho, I know, is Super, and Zetsu. I'm blanking on Zetsu. I know specific terms and phrases, but the Super form. In an episode where they were stressing teamwork, I'm amazed they didn't leave this power-up for the next episode. Because, usually when you get the power-up like that, the solo person power-up, teamwork is not something that's going to show up in the battle. Or it's a solo power-up should not be gained from a message of teamwork, because it's not really teamwork when you do that. I can think of some exceptions where you're uniting the team's power into one, and that's a form of teamwork. Like, I'm forgetting the Abre Max. Abre Max was in, at the very least, Dino Thunder, used by uniting all the powers of the team into one object to create the super form. And, that's combining their powers to defeat an enemy that none of them even together can face on their own, with their separated. So combined as one. That works as a kind of teamwork thing, because they're entrusting their strength to the other. This obviously doesn't happen that way. So there are ways to do it, but it is not here. With the exception of, Chozetsu Akaninja overwhelms the Nua yokai, it's not him alone that takes it down. I mean, it's shown as extremely powerful, so it's kind of... Let me rephrase. The power-up is shown as powerful, but not overwhelmingly strong. So, which does... both is affirming the teamwork thing, because they have to get involved to put it down, and also showing it weaker than it should be immediately. You're undermining the power-up, and you're undermining the message by mixing the two together at the same time. Because Chozetsu's physically strong, breaking down the monster's specially gained ability for this battle, because he got a power boost to end the Igasaki clan. And then Chozetsu comes in, counters it with speed and extreme strength, and then all of a sudden the Ninninger need to hold him down so Chozetsu can get one good strike in at him. With that kind of speed, you should have been able to smash him down pretty damn easily. So it's like, it's mixing up the narrative they're trying to emphasize is what I'm getting at. Do you want to give the teamwork message? To make that most effective, you can't give them the power-up immediately. Give them the mech. Give them the mech. You can work on the power-up next episode if you wanted to. Because, hey, next week's a filler episode anyway, so it probably wouldn't have mattered that much. Or you skip repeating the same damn teamwork lesson you've bashed into our heads every few episodes, and you give him the power-up by showing that he can fix his mistakes, he can improve, and the best way to improve is through this joining of powers, or maybe have the joining of powers make him realize what an idiot he's been about missing the teamwork message repeatedly. As the others acknowledge he's an idiot, Takaharu not so much. Admittedly, he does in the episode say that he's not good at thinking, so he knows it's a fault of his, but he doesn't act like it's a fault that he's in any way trying to remedy. That's something I've got a big problem with, because it'd probably be an easy avenue for. He's got the skills, he's got the power, he just doesn't think at all, and that's his big stumbling point. Which, with the former two, if he thought a bit more, he'd be even more at an advantage to the others in gaining the title he wants. And it's obvious from the cunning that Yoshitaka shows that he thinks a lot about his actions. So Takaharu, despite his power, is still the least capable person of the group obtaining the title of Last Ninja that they're so after, because he's so lacking in a pretty important area of a ninja, outsmarting people, outwitting them, thinking one step ahead. He does none of these that the others are quite well at. And so, yeah, we're sticking with the status quo. Yakumo and Kasumi overthink things. Nagi and Fuka, not as adept as the others. Kenji is a loner, and the only time they will switch things up is Takaharu, because Takaharu is supposed to be our protagonist. Lion Hao. No. That thing is a brick, and they have no illusion of it being a brick. There's no real conversion of limbs. It's just stand up, put the thing on what would have been its back. The legs are locked. The leg parts are locked in place, and the arms are stuck like this. And there's in both when they're like this in the vehicle beast mode, I guess, and they're in the same kind of position, locked in there. So this is obviously a mimicry of the lacklusterness of the toy again, when it shouldn't have been so hard to add a few hinges. This is atrociously bad. Not even the finish. Okay, Aka Ninja Trozetsu pilots it by being visible on the outside of the mech. Again, that's a thing I've had an issue with this season, because, one good shot, they're dead, because Monster's giant, duh. But this time, it's in the middle of his torso. That's a pretty big... when you're aiming at someone, you're usually aiming right at the area in the body. Admittedly, on a person, you aim for the heart, but right in the center of the sternum, on where the robot would be, and he's hanging in the mouth. And I'm just thinking, what, you didn't decide to do the really obvious lion mouth chest cannon? Lame. You know what the finishing move for the robot is? It turns back into a tank, rushes at the enemy, and Aka Ninja Trozetsu just slashes his sword. What? I mean, there are things that can get away with it, doing that. One I liked was Gavon, and all the space sheriffs have some kind of variation where they do that with their weapon on top of their support mech or vehicle. And, I've always figured that standing on them, there's kind of a energy refinement system where it's supercharging the blade or something to do that. And admittedly, the other space sheriff's mechs don't necessarily do that, but they can do that. Galavon's just the one that's standing on the robot dragon doing it. So, yeah, it can work. It doesn't work in this situation, especially since, well, Lion Hollow is a fortress with a bunch of guns on it. And it's full-size mode wields a pair of shuriken that it can bash together and turn into a giant shuriken it fires at the enemy. Why is that not the finishing move instead of this slash? It's just... what? I've got a lot of issues with this show. So yeah, because they did something Yoshitaka was never able to do, because he's a dick, they agree to convince, Yoshitaka is convinced to take on Kinji as a student provisional. You know, it's something that's dependent on his, progress in, what he, trained in, I guess. And, you know, it's for him, it's kind of just not letting the failure with QAmon rule him, which I guess is okay. I still think he's an asshole, but yeah, there's progress with him, which I guess is better than nothing. Drive. More executive Roidmudes are coming into the Tokyo area, because of course they're attacking Tokyo, and preparing for the promised number and achieving more of their evolutions, and of course to eliminate Shinosuke and company. Whereas their number is down to 45. We started the show with 108, so we're far past the halfway point in the series, and we're far past the halfway points in Roidmute elimination. That is good that they finally addressed that, especially after a series of Roidmutes caught on fire and lost control of themselves. This is revealed to actually be an experiment by Medic to achieve super evolution through this special foodstuff made by this secretive establishment that boasts the best cuisine in the world through this special sauce that is the secret of the cook. However, one of his assistants is a squirrely individual that is apparently possesses enough negative emotions within him to be able to sire a hybrid Roidmute, the Cook Roidmute. Okay. I thought that was kind of a weird theme to it, and the entire episode has this kind of weird tangent where they're sampling the food, and it's like they're almost orgasmic in their appreciation of it. And I do like one joke in this, in that it's unintentionally mocking Krim's situation as stuck as a belt, because, you know, he can't taste this kind of thing. And you know what? This is likely the incident that makes Krim go evil in Drive Surprise Future, and why he went on to take over the world. Because he couldn't eat anything. There's actually a line in there about him regretting changing himself into a belt simply because he misses the taste of food. And, you know, I can't fault him there. It's too bad he couldn't control Cyberoid Triple Z or something. While the main side are dealing with that, there's an interesting scene with Go, Chase, and one of the returning executive Roidmutes. The executive Roidmutes are all low number Roidmutes. Specifically, 006 and 008 were shown in this episode, but only in their human forms. Neither of them achieved their Roidmute forms or their evolved forms, which would show their facets, the concepts they embody. So that's probably going to be an interesting reveal there. But the thing with Go and Chase is more addressing of why Go hasn't come to them with Professor Bano, and we finally get his thing. Go has been so anxious to defeat all the Roidmutes because Go and Kiriko never knew their father. Now, obviously, Go knows him now, but Go only learned of that when he went to America to become Kamen Rider Mach. And, you know, the shame of we've gotten before that, the shame of being Bano's son is more than he can bear, and is fighting mainly for Kiriko. And the key to this is, he doesn't want Kiriko to ever find out, and the more time the Roidmutes are still around, the longer there's the opportunity she will learn of it, and that the reason they never had the opportunity to spend any time with their dad was, well, he was creating monsters. Gotta admit, that's actually pretty good. A pretty good elaborated explanation. We just needed it 10 episodes ago. Seriously, it was like 10 episodes ago when they first brought up the Go is Bano's son thing. So, keeping this from Kiriko this long for not revealing the part that they didn't know their father at all, that was the important part to cover in all of this, which is set as kind of a in the afterthought kind of manner, which is when it's the big key to the character arc stuff that we needed way back. And he's still an asshole, but this is what makes it this is what makes it understandable, and we needed it way long time ago. And honestly, that's the problem with Drive's method of decompressed serialized storytelling. You keep the serialization past the you keep focusing on all these parts of the story so far apart from each other that it overstays its welcome. I mean, the first Chase arc before he was finally revealed to be Proto Drive lasted what, 12, 14 episodes? Not exactly since the premiere, but at least like episode 3 or 4. So, okay, 12 episodes. We could have had that dealt with and him brainwashed by re-brainwashed at least by episode 10, before Go was actually around. And then, the fights between Go and Chase and reinforcing the whole belief he's a Roidmude thing would work if the re-brainwashing happened and then Go showed up, so he only saw Chase at his worst, at his super brainwashed, versus, he saw the confliction, Go's still an asshole towards him, he gets brainwashed, Go's a super asshole towards him, he comes back to himself, Go has no reason to trust him when he knows that there was a difference between then, while you were mainly fighting him, and now. So, you saw honorable stuff in him, you still treat him like an asshole. Whereas, if it was brainwashed from the first time Go showed up, through that, his suspicions would be justified as he never knew Chase. In this alternate version, of course, he never knew Chase when he could have been at his, during the time where he could have seen Chase as a better person. I like that they keep pushing the two together, though, to kind of bleed off the animosity now that they're on the same side, and, or not relating, making them collaborate on things. So it's like, I already said bleeding off the animosity, so what is it now? Blanking on the term I want to use, but I like that they're more or less in this whole subplot together. Bano himself, he doesn't trust Krim. He knows Krim has a dark side to him, and doesn't want to come near him. Now, I'm thinking that Krim is likely angry after Bano used the core drive years, and then the Roidmudes all went rogue. So, Krim has guilds that his technology is what gave the Roidmudes the ability to kill a bunch of people, and angry at Bano over that, who doesn't seem to be that apologetic. And, Chase kind of calls them out on that exact thing about needing to repent, and right now Bano's the genie in the bottle. Whoever holds the bottle is getting his powers, and for right now that happens to be Go. So who knows what might happen when the full reveal comes out. And the only reason they're not collaborating right now against Bano's wishes is Go's being selfish about keeping this from Kiriko, which, considering his characterization, is not out of line. I still think he's making a bad choice by keeping it from from Kiriko and Shinosuke, but it works for his character. Anyways, 006 and 008 tip off Heart to what Medic has been doing, and, Heart connects the dots all the way back to the Roidmude that copied Q. I forget the guy's full name. The techie in the Special Division unit. He's not a focused enough character, so that's probably why his name escapes me right now. I am terrible with names, as I continuously repeat in these vlogs. So, when the food stuff that's been driving the Roidmutes to overload is revealed, Hearts intervenes on the fight, heals the Roidmute, or at least takes away the heat that was infesting one of the Reaper units that Medic was throwing away for her experiment, and, pretty much derides Medic for being the evil person that, she is. And I think the idea from... What's the phrase? I think what they're building with Heart right now is that he's not... He doesn't care if humans live or die. I think that's what they're trying to do with this newest arc with some of the preview details we've been getting. Because, Heart, he was overjoyed to see Shinosuke alive. He doesn't exactly agree with the other Roidmutes, but, because they're his brethren, he's willing to let them do as they wish if they are happy, because joy is his theme. So... I don't know where I was going with that. But I think what they were moving towards with that is because of how he challenges Shinosuke. It's like, calling him out for a fight to achieve his own super evolution, and it kind of keeps everyone else out of it. I guess. Because condemning Medic when, she's been trying to do this for him. Not phrasing this correctly. Apparently Heart's abilities are different than what we've been shown before. Now, as we were going to this fight, I thought he was going to be completely overwhelmed by Type Trideron because, as shown before, it was a stalemate when Heart fought Type Technique, and he was overwhelmed when he fought Type Dead Heat. Type Trideron is, a tier and a half above Dead Heat, at least. More physically powerful and armored and more abilities than Type Formula, but a bit slower than Type Formula, as is consistent with the Super Forms as of late. They're better in one stat than the Final Form, but inferior in... the Final Forms have more overall versatility and power. So, the reason Heart has been kept in the running this long, even though they can defeat the Dead Zone, they can defeat Super Acceleration, which he was shown to have a few episodes ago, is because Heart's ability is adaptation. You damage him, and he gains a resistance or immunity to it. So, upon that revelation, Shinosuke can't exactly use the most powerful abilities of Type Trideron, because if he fails to beat Heart, then he'll be immune to them, especially with Medic around, which makes him even more dangerous and kind of makes sense in a way how he would be able to recover from some of the things he's been inflicted with. A lot of that is enough to destabilize weaker Roidmutes. So, it's half a god modding power, half... Okay, yeah, it is a god modding power, because, we've seen Dead Zone before. Dead Zone was what prompted the reveal of Dead Heat. the super heavy acceleration that was first tested on Chase, then given to him, and it seems like you're giving too many powers to the big bad to make it less believable that once he gets his super evolution, which he is in the next episode, that they will be able to beat him, and it's becoming unreasonable. Is at the core of it. Then again, Type Triton had kind of the same issue with its reveal. It seemed like this was going to be too powerful and curb stompy, and then, yeah, no curb stomp. I mean, we're close to curb stomp, but no curb stomp. Now, you're supposed to show the final form as powerful, as advantageous to use, but there's kind of a curve you need to do. It's the issue with fighting Brain so early after its reveal. It's taking one of the series' general figures, you give him his power up, and then should it be instant curve stomp. Brain, I think, only lasted that long is because he was being an intelligent and crafty villain the entire time. So yeah, it was fair to drag it out as long as it did for his Super Evolution story arc and trying to get around Type Triton, but now it's getting more problematic at best. Because yeah, he did. Heart did defeat Type Triton. Type Triton was not going all out, but I think this should have been more of a stalemate than was showcased here, because Shinosuke is seen after the clash, and Heart still standing in Roidmute form, coming down on him. Not like that. But I think what they're going to do with it is they're not going to have Heart attack him, because that would remove his potential path to Super Evolution, which is what he thinks Shinosuke can give him. And, he's kind of one of the more benign Roidmutes, intent-wise. Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get at before. There's multiple paths to evolution. He's not going the route of kill all. I don't think he wants to go down the route of kill all humans like some of the others do. Or even really Conquest. I don't know. The story's still evolving. Garo! This is a short one, as it was kind of a filler character piece about fighting a marine-themed horror. The horror's actual body, it looks kind of similar to Rampage from Transformers Beast Wars. I mean, yeah, more organically crustacean, but I mean the general structure. Short, stocky, clamps. Did Rampage have clamps? No, Rampage didn't have clamps for hands. Who had clamps for hands? Scorponok. Scorponok had clamps for hands. The clamps! Okay, they're not full-on clamps. It's kind of the whole crab crustacean look for it, which had a hardened shell, which kind of took a few feats of acrobatics to even get it dead, which kind of made for an excessive combat scene, because it's not showing Ryuga as a competent or definitive knight as it should be, because, get it out of the water, prevent it from getting back into the water, dry it out with fire. And, Garo is very good with generating fire. Rian is very good at generating fire. Gold is very good at generating it with fire. Is good with generating fire. Sorry. And yet, fire is not the first thing they try. They just keep trying to stab at it, climb over it, do cartwheels and acrobatics to get around its gigantic form. And it is a gigantic form. It's just, it seems excessive in how they're fighting it, especially since its lure form takes the form of, as you would expect, a naked woman. And when I say lure, I mean, when I saw what it was doing, I kind of remembered one of the hollows in Bleach. from the first arc of the series, there was this hollow that had attacked the protagonist named Ichigo's mother and devoured her soul, because that's what hollows do in that series. And it had done this by having a lure attached to its head that would take the form of a little girl, which Ichigo had seen and, tried to attack him, but his mother got in the way, and there's kind of this whole guilt issue involved there that was important for his character at one point. Well, so, sort of still. It informed a lot about what motivates and drives him. Point is, I got this kind of homage, but, of course, naked woman, who had fish face and kind of pseudo-transparent skin, and just how they become aware of it. And as they're spending most of the episode dragging it down, it seems kind of like it's just filler. But then they have this subplot about Haruna. Why do I remember the names of the characters in Garo, but not the other shows? Haruna trying to use a spell to find Radam as due to Radam's generation cycle, they only have until the next full moon, and it's currently a full moon in the show, meaning they have a month, and that's not unreasonable because, yep, the show has another 12 episodes at least before it ends, so yeah, I could totally see them doing 12 episodes in a month, especially since the last 5-6 episodes or so are all focused on the same tightly compacted series of events, so maybe they're starting to rush it to the revival, and maybe the final arc is going to be in Radam trying to fight it. I don't know where they're going with it, but we've got a timetable for the series endgame, which is good as it's about the center of the show, episode 13. Hell, they even changed the opening theme, like they do in the middle of the show, from the chanting one to the lyrical one. I didn't like Garo's new opening theme, by the way. I didn't think it had enough energy and energy and excitement, engaging the audience. It wasn't very engaging for an audience, in my opinion. I'm a bit more scatterbrained than normal today. But yeah, they use fire to bind the horror in place after Ryuga tries the Garo cannon can't get through the armor of the thing because it's really dense. But he does manage to stab through it, but only a small chunk because it's apparently resistant to the soul metal damage. However, when Zaruba mentions that there's not much that can withstand a strike by soul metal, unless it is soul metal, it gets the idea for Ryuga and Rian to try summoning the Garo armor, but in a manner that would allow it to be pulled to Ryuga through the horror, like blasting a huge hole in it, so then Ryuga can slash it to death by jumping in it, which is done by opening the gate that calls the armor, Rian pausing the gates through one of her Nakai priest tags, and then destroying the tag when things are at the right angle, which, of course, leaves Ryuga vulnerable for a period. And it's kind of getting a message across to Gold, who's a active combatant and observer at the same time in it, about the kind of trust the two need to fully function in their duties, which kind of gets him to warm up to the pair, considering his stance against Makai Knights, which I liked. The episode overall worked, it's just, again, too actiony without really establishing why it needs to be so focused on the action. Of course, the subplot with Haruna allows them to figure out where Jinga and Amelie are. See, there's again me instantly remembering the names of the Garo characters versus everybody else. Yeah, Haruna uses this scrying spell to figure out where Jinga and Amelie are, so we're probably going to see another confrontation between the sides in the next episode to go as they try to reseal Rodham. They're, of course, going to fail because we need it for the end game for the show, but still should be of interest. Ultraman X, Episode 1 started streaming. I know nothing about Ultraman. I really do not. And it's why I've never done any Ultraman stuff, and I talked for long enough with just 3 shows. I don't want to add a 4th one to make this all go even longer. So, what I'm considering is just waiting until Garo concludes in 12 weeks, and then, marathon through the first 12 episodes of Ultraman X, if it has more than 12 episodes, because the last Ultra series, was at, I think only had 12 or so. Like I said, I don't know Ultraman. But I want to, and I think I'd like to come on with this one. I watched Tiga when it was on television, but I wasn't a religious watcher of it. But what I'm getting at is, I don't plan on doing it yet. I might do it after Garo concludes, catch up with stuff, and then start doing recaps for everyone else. But I'm just not familiar enough with the series to do that immediately, especially with everything else. So, follow-up thing with the blip failure. While I'm still not comfortable posting everything to YouTube, everything is up current on Dailymotion. Ryuki, Episode 1, the Ryuki Reviews Part 1 is premiering Saturday. It will be up on Dailymotion, so check it out on my Dailymotion page. It's in the credits. She'll be showing up soon. Still no sign of subs for the Gaidens. Yes, I know about Baron and Knuckle Gaiden. I'm actually interested in Knuckles because it's supposed to be post-series. And also, Dukes because of how it's kind of pre-series. So it's kind of like bookending the two sides we want to see more of. We wanted more Aftermath, we wanted more Origins for Yggdrasil, and I like how they're doing it that way. So yeah, that's all I got. Chroma Squad, I Place Chroma Squad Episode 2 premieres tomorrow, and Ryuki Reviews Part 1 up Saturday. Yes. See you all.